And welcome in, everybody, to a Week 17 edition of 4th and 4. We are in the final home stretch of the regular season at the end of the year as well, too. Happy New Year to everybody else able to join us. Hopefully 2023 for you goes a lot better than 2022 did for a lot of us as well, too. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the rest of the squad to join us now as well. It is DJ, joined as always by my High-Low Sports co-host Kelcey, and our good friend Jim from Inside the Walls and various other football podcasts as well, too. Our good pal Zach is not able to join us this week, but hey, three's company too, and I think we have a very good week out in store for us with a lot of teams fighting for those last playoff spots as well. How are we doing today, guys? Excited to start off this new year?
Yeah, can't complain. Look, betting's legalized in Ohio today, so that's a great news. It's a good, it's a good chance to start off the new year in a completely different way than 2022 started out. Winning money instead of losing money. Yeah, exactly.
Put yourself into more debt.
Bet responsibly, guys. Bet responsibly. There's a little button in the top corner of the FanDuel app that says "Bet responsibly." Bet responsibly first. But no, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Plus, playoff push. I mean, last 2 weeks of the playoffs. It's perfect time this season.
Absolutely, as well too. And Jim, it's bowl season. I saw your Seminoles got a nice little win there yesterday too in college football. They keep themselves afloat moving into next year.
Yeah, it's a good bowl win for the Noles, 10-win season, a complete turnaround from what this program was a year ago. So it's exciting about that. College football playoffs are going on right now. So when you're watching this, ladies and gentlemen, you'll know the results. But right now, TCU is handling Michigan, which is kind of surprising at the moment. But especially down here, down Jacksonville, you're talking about meaningful games in January for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whoever thought that? Not 6 months ago or 7 months ago, especially here down in Jacksonville. We didn't. It's amazing what it's. Well, okay. Kelcey, okay. But so yeah, the vibes down here is pretty good. So football, Southeast, NFL, playoff push, it's on. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen this weekend that's determined playoff seeding. So I think we get that. So right now, football is thriving down here in the state of Florida. And thank God we're not in the 20s like we were just last week. It's currently 74 degrees here in Jacksonville. So, and I'm wearing a hoodie.
Thank you. It is in the 20s. Thank you. We are on the exact opposite.
Exactly. Yeah. What's that? There's actual frost outside and it's not 6 feet of snow. All right, we're good.
Oh, good. My face isn't melting from the cold. Oh, good. I am not suddenly a White Walker or the Night King all of a sudden. I don't have a cameo in the Definitely looking forward to that playoff push as well, too. And good thing that the playoffs doesn't start this week for Jacksonville. It comes down to next week because they got their nemesis Houston coming into town as well, too. So maybe dodge a little bit of a bullet on that one as well. But that's going to go ahead and lead us into our first quarter of the show as well, too. We're going to talk about some storylines heading into the week. And, of course, we're going to go ahead and start with that Thursday night game as well, too. The Titans taking on the Cowboys in a game where Mike Vrabel blatantly said, I don't give a you-know-what about this game because it does not really matter for them, seeing as how the Week 18 matchup against Jacksonville is all that matters. And Dallas, they kind of, in certain points, they played like they didn't really care too much, but still managed to get the job done with a double-digit win. I'm going to start with the Josh Dobbs situation, though, as well, too. Do you think he's going to be the starter next week as they go into that must-win game against Jacksonville, or do you think they go back to Malik Willis as well, too? So that's going to be a very interesting match to see what they do. So, Kelcey, I'll go to you first. Do you think they go with the super smart scientist, or do they go with the young rookie Malik?
Go with the aerospace engineer, first and foremost, only because you have a playoff game that you need to win this to get into the playoffs type of situation. Like that's the only chance you have. And the reason is Josh Dobbs. I'm sorry. I love Malik Willis. There's no question about it, but we all agreed Malik Willis needed a year to sit. Needed at least 1 year to sit. Yeah, exactly. Maybe 2 to get completely polished. And it's obvious that situation is not there. I mean, he hasn't cracked 100 yards passing since preseason. So it's not been a good situation at all there. And honestly, the entire Tennessee Titans situation is not good. But Josh Dobbs obviously made that team work well enough to look decent. And I'm being very loose and fast with the word decent. But it was as good as you could expect for a guy that's been there for 5 days, and was getting plays until literally 16 seconds on the play clock from his coach, like plays, reads, everything. He was basically being given a concept and saying, okay, now these are going to be your your reads, go make it happen. Like that's what he was given from his play caller. So it's a tough situation there, but did the best he could. And it shows he's an intelligent quarterback. He's been a perennial backup his entire time. So, it showed on the field. It's just, is it going to be enough to beat the Jaguars or to get a win? Probably not. But is it going to be enough to at least give them a shot? Yeah, it's going to be the only shot they have.
And on top of that, too, he did something that we've only seen on, I feel like I could count on two hands this entire year. We saw a touchdown from a Titans receiver. So, too, he managed to connect with Robert Woods for a touchdown. I feel like I could count all the receiver touchdowns on these two hands right here. So,
you can definitely count Robert Woods touchdowns on one hand.
I can count that on these two fingers, it feels like, as well, too. But I'll go to you for next, Jim. In Jacksonville, you got a beat-up Tennessee team coming in, the aerospace engineer quarterback. You do have Derrick Henry coming back, and about 19,000 guys on the infirmary for the Tennessee Titans. I think their medical staff needs to be fired because these last 2 years have been abysmal. Is there any concerns with them coming into town, or do you feel like they're plummeting so bad and Jacksonville's on such a hot streak that Jacksonville should win this one comfortably?
For a lot of Jaguar fans, we remember 1999. Where the best team in the National Football League lost its home game to the Tennessee Titans. Yes, I know, Kelcey. I know you're rubbing your head. The best team in 1999 who won the Super Bowl was not the best team. But is this Tennessee Titan team that team? No, there's no Eddie George. There's no Steve McNair. There's no Samari Roll. There's no Albert Hainsworth. They're wounded. And it started they were on a 6-game losing streak. And I saw on ESPN the other day, no team in NFL history has lost 6 games in a row and made the playoffs in their season, which is pretty impressive because the Dolphins almost did that last year with that long losing streak, then the winning streak at the end, but fell short. The buzz here in Jacksonville is the Tennessee doesn't have the offensive power to keep up, and how Jacksonville's offense is starting to play very well. Trevor Lawrence is getting that next step in his process of becoming the quarterback in the NFL. It's like the guy from Fox Sports 1, I think Nick Wright, the prince that was promised. That was a term I heard a couple of days ago. Didn't realize that's actually a thing now. But for Jacksonville and for fans like myself who remember 1999, you don't want to overlook the Titans because they can spoil your season again. And that's our rival. Tennessee's our rival. We hate the Titans more than we hate the Colts, and we hate the Titans more than we hate Houston because of what happened in 1999. But Vrabel resting all of his players, I think it's just the last desperation of giving this players rest. Because right now, I think Jacksonville is the hottest team in the AFC South. They're getting a lot of the praise. And when Lawrence is playing like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now, some may debate top 5. I'm not one of those guys. You're going to need everything you get against Jacksonville. Dobbs he made that offense look better. Lewis, when he's been playing, Willis, he's been playing, it's only been like 88 yards, 96 yards, and I think 72 yards his last 3 starts. That's not winning football. When teams put 10 men in the box and dare your quarterback to beat you through the air, they're not afraid. And when Dobbs got in there, Dallas was kind of shocked that the kid was throwing, getting the ball down the field. But I think Dallas winning that game on Thursday, already coming off a big win against Philly last week. They weren't fully motivated for that game anyways on Thursday, but they did enough to win the game. And there's another question I asked both you guys. In Las Vegas, they bench a quarterback with 14 interceptions. He's considered a mid quarterback. There's a certain quarterback in Dallas that's considered an elite quarterback, and he has the same amount of interceptions.
I question who call him elite. I question
who you think? Fox Sports. Who you think?
I stand by what I just said. I question every single person that calls Dak Prescott elite, and questioned them every single step of the way. So let's just that's my answer for your question.
But still, you're going to bench Derek Carr, who has the same, actually kind of has better numbers than Dak Prescott. He's played more games this season than Dak, and Dak has equal the same amount of interceptions. But I think the Raiders, in my opinion, have already, moved away from Derek Carr, and I think Derek Carr may be the new starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts next year. So, DJ.
Well, it's not. I mean, that's where quarterbacks go to die at this point. So I hope for his sake it's not. Hopefully it goes like the Jets or somewhere functionable at this point.
So a 4-year, $45 million contract is in his future for the Colts.
It's cheaper than what he's getting with the Raiders right now. So I mean that works out as well too. But I wouldn't question him. And me and Kelcey agree Dak Prescott's really, really good. But elite, let's reel that in just a little bit. We're gonna crank that back about 14 notches there as well too. But my thought on that as well too is Trevor Lawrence has been playing really, really well. The prince that was promised is Jon Snow. Let's get that straight. It is not Trevor Lawrence. It is Jon Snow. We will get that straight right now. And I think, honestly, if Jacksonville doesn't make the playoffs this year, it's almost a little bit shocking with the way things have played out as well, too, with how badly Tennessee has plummeted out, how hot they've gotten, and how Doug Peterson has not just helped Trevor Lawrence take that next step, but he has completely undone the giant spider web of mess that Urban Meyer did last year as well, too. Kelson always joked about it. This year is a freebie for Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson because they have to undo the Urban Meyer mess. Well, they managed to do that in half the year and then get rolling on top of it. So I look forward. I think Jacksonville should be the favorite moving forward, getting into the playoffs, and they'll probably end up playing either the Chargers or the Ravens. So we'll see a Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert, a Trevor Lawrence versus Lamar Jackson. We have some very promising potential matchups. But as you mentioned, too, Tennessee's not one to be overlooked because they're kind of like a gnat or a zit. They just show up at the least opportune time and just make a problem for some teams as well, too. A few years ago, Lamar Jackson's MVP run, they come in and beat them in Baltimore. We've seen them the last couple of years, too. They go and beat Kansas City in the regular season. They're a really unwanted, badly timed prom night zit that pops up on the top of your nose. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come in at the right time with a fully rested Derrick Henry and possibly put the Jaguars in hell as well too. But definitely looking forward to that game next week for sure.
I just have to ask Jim a question real fast. How do you call yourself the best team in 1999 when you couldn't beat a team who had already beaten you twice in your own division? And if it wasn't for the lowly Cleveland Browns 2-14, you would not have beaten the Tennessee Titans in your own division for the AFC Central.
The 1999,
you lost 3 times to the Tennessee
Titans, and we beat everyone else
3 times to the same team, and you call yourself the best team.
The best team in 1999 was the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Obviously not. The best team in 1999 was the St. Louis Rams.
The Jacksonville Jaguars,
and
they would have made the Super Bowl, would have beat the St. Louis Rams.
So you can't be the best team unless you beat everybody. And you know what you didn't do? You didn't beat everybody.
That's why we have that's our rival. We've always said the Titans.
You know, they weren't beating St. Louis in the Super Bowl anyway. Just throwing that out there. Not the way.
Yeah, nobody was beating the greatest show on turf. Like let's not kid ourselves. Maybe the best team in the AFC, yes. The best team in the NFL, no, not by a long shot.
That's your opinion.
The greatest show on turf is Jim. Bias aside, if you put your bias aside for 3 seconds, you'd realize greatest show on turf is where it was at.
Well, they were a fun team to watch, yes.
Speaking of fun teams to watch, too, the number 1 seed in the NFC right now is the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 13-2. Need one more win to lock up the number 1 seed, but Jalen Hurts, it looks like he is going to be doubtful again this week, and it looks like it will be Minshew Mania for one more week as they take on the New Orleans Saints. So, gentlemen, do we feel good with the Eagles clinching against the Saints? Does Minshew Mania go ballistic, or do we get a pretty hectic Week 18 if the Cowboys continue to keep it close where it all comes down to this?
I think Philly wins.
The Saints. Yeah, I hate this that this is the Saints in this situation to interrupt everything. If it was literally any other team, take that back. Any other team but Denver, then I think they have a chance to lose. But Philadelphia, look, the Saints are just awful right now. I don't know what else to say about it. The Saints are just terrible.
One game out of first place.
Yeah, still one game out of first place, miraculously enough. You know what? Why not? You know what? Yeah, let's say why. There's a chance. There's a chance it can happen. It is a 3% or less chance that it can happen, but it is a chance. You talked yourself out of it and back into it again, and now you're working your way out of it. I didn't pick them, but at the same time, like this, yes, there's a possibility because I'm thinking about the NFL, how it loves drama, how it loves that ceremony around the last week of the NFL. They want something to play for in the final week of the NFL. And last time this happened, if we all think back to the last time there was an NFC East title on the line involving the Eagles, there just so happened to be the biggest sandbagging on earth during that game, and all the drama that came with that game. So the NFL does love its drama. It's a possibility that the Saints can win this game so that it can set up an Eagles dramatic Week 18 and the Cowboys dramatic Week 8. I hope not, but
Cowboys play the Commanders final week, right?
Yep, and then the Eagles play the Giants. So pretty much 4 playoff teams going head to head right now in that one. That'll be a fun final match.
I mean, that's what makes it even worse. Is like they're literally all 4 teams involved potentially can make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Be the first division to ever do that. That every team makes postseason.
Well, it makes
but I have something to add to that game. Is it being played in Philadelphia?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's in Philly. There's no way the Saints are going up into Philly and beating Philly with Red Rocket at quarterback.
It is in Philadelphia.
Yeah. No matter what, the Eagles will win.
I'd like to ask, what is your logic behind that? Because let's not forget that man played in Cincinnati for years.
It's the Eagles, and their defense is pretty good, and the Red Rockets very average, and the Saints offense is bad. It just looked good against Cleveland, and it was a frozen tundra where the actual on CBS coverage they put a thermometer on the ground and it said -3 in the grass. So they were playing on freaking concrete. So yeah, everyone looked slow and out of shape in that game.
The Saints
they are playing in the Link, so the Link is kind of known for being a concrete turf.
But it's not going to be 2 degrees at kickoff. It's going to be like in the 40s.
I mean, the Saints defense is pretty good too, and Minshew Mania is pretty much Andy Dalton with normal hair and a mustache and jean shorts.
Yeah, it's in Philly, and I think Philly knows if they take care of their business this week, they can rest everyone next week and have their guys have 2 weeks off, and the Hurts will have a month off. So,
yeah, I mean, like this honestly feels like an Eagles win. Like it really does. Like but it does kind of feel like a trap game. It does kind of feel just like you look at the week before Christmas, both the Eagles and the Cowboys had set up with trap games. Correct. And they were both so excited to play each other that they just didn't care about their actual opponent that week. And this kind of sitting the same way. Like you're so excited to get into the playoffs, if you don't button up, the Saints come in here smack you around a little bit.
How Philly's been playing under Minshew, especially if Hurts comes back, that divisional round in the playoff when they finally if they get the 1 seed, they could be sluggish and they could be going up against either an on fire Dallas team or one of the wild card teams, especially if the Giants, like a rival, goes there. That's going to be a hard game in the divisional round for the Eagles. So I think for me, if I'm an Eagles fan, get the win this week, get your players rested, and hope the guy Hurts is ready for that divisional round. Because if Minshew is starting quarterback in the divisional round of the playoff against the Cowboys or against the Bucks or against the Giants in the first round, that's not going to be easy for them. I'm just saying, it's like, Eagles are 1 seed, but I'm still the firm believer that the best team in the NFC is San Francisco.
I mean, hey, they could fall out of that 1 seed just.
Correct.
That's what's crazy. Yeah, it's 2 losses from them. The Vikings continue to win.
Cowboys don't win out as well too. It's a lot still going on as well too. What we do know is both those teams will be in the playoffs as well too, and the rest of the seeding will be figured out in these next couple of weeks. Those last few wild card spots are ones we'll be definitely keeping an eye on as well. And whoever wins the mid off that is the NFC South as well too. Like we talked about the AFC South being bad, the NFC South is somehow worse. Who would have thought, right? And so that'll do it for our first quarter here as well, guys, as we get ready to head into our second quarter. Our second quarter is, of course, where we talk all sorts of things betting and otherwise, presented, of course, by our good friends over at Outlier as well. Bet smarter, not harder. Click the link in our bio, Outlier.bet /High-Low Sports. Make betting easier for your life. Sign up for a free 7-day trial. If you live in Ohio, it's time. You got a lot of free money from signing up as well, too. Put that to good use and turn that into some actual money. If you've already had betting, well, get a little bit more money to bet with as well, too. So instead of having to constantly pull things out of the account and end up selling your house or your mortgage, bet responsibly. Use Outlier to help you out as well, too. And gentlemen, week 17, there's a lot to bet on as well, too. Some games you definitely want to avoid because of that playoff push and people getting sat as well. But first one we're going to look at is one with no team that has 0 chance and one team that weirdly enough has a chance. We're going to look at the Cardinals and the Falcons for this first one as well. And what I'm looking at for this game is I'm going with an anytime touchdown. I like Cordell Patterson just find the end zone. I don't think the Cardinals are going to have the ball a whole lot because you're telling me Trace McSorley is going to walk up and down the field on them. I don't know about that as well. And their defense, Budda Baker is out. Their defense is starting to struggle a little bit. So give me a Cordell Patterson anytime touchdown in this Cardinals versus Falcons matchup. And the Falcons still an outside shot at the NFC South as well, too. So they're still in it to win it, as weird as it feels to say that week 17 about them. So, Kelcey, we'll go to you first. Cardinals, Falcons, where are we looking to spend our money?
Well, first off, it's actually going to be David Blau starting for the Cardinals. Fun fact for you guys. I
rest my case. Double down on this.
Literally the latest end of the week, like twist you could add for a Cardinals that made things something somewhat interesting. Getting David Blau in there. But for me, I'm actually looking at the Falcons. I'm looking at their offense as well. I'm looking at another anytime touchdown scorer, and that would be Drake London, a guy who's only done it 20% of the time in the last 5 games and the last 10 games. So 2 out of the last 10, 1 out of the last 5. It's not been a great situation, but this is his opportunity. All those corners are injured. Safeties are injured. That entire team is injured. Basically, as long as Desmond Ridder and him can continue their what is an insane connection between the two of them. They just literally know where each other are. Then I do believe Drake London can get on the scoreboard, at least score one. Get you some chance to win a little bit of money there. It's it's only plus 190 odds, but good enough that you can at least take that chance.
I always like those plus odds as well too. And Drake London's really been coming on strong this last month and a half or so as well too. He's really started to kind of, you can see, for lack of a better term, the game slowing down for him as well too. He's starting to get a lot more comfortable. So I look for him and Kyle Pitts to have a strong next year as well. So Jim, Cardinals, Falcons, how do we look like we're going to win some money this week?
Honestly, if you're a betting man, don't even touch this game. Really, it's the Cardinals and Falcons. For that, I think this is going to be one of the most boringest games in the NFL this week. So I'm taking the under 40.5 on this game.
All right, that seems like a safe bet as well. Too. You mentioned the great and admirable David Blau taking on Desmond Ridder in his third career start as well too. So points most likely going to be a bit of a premium. Next, we're going to go to a game where there should not be points at a premium. There should be points in an abundance in this game as we see the Bears taking on the Lions. This is the game that will probably be giving Zach a heart attack if he is watching this one as well too, with the Bears always keeping it close. And well, after how the first matchup ended up, was it 31-30 after a missed PAT as well too. So for this one, that being said, the over-under is set at 52.5. Ben Johnson's offense with the Lions, Justin Fields strapping that team on his back. I'm going to hit the over for 52.5. There is I don't see a reason that they both can't score at least 26, if not more as well. So Jim, we'll go back to you. Bears, Lions and Tigers and Bears. Do we think we have a shootout, or what are we looking at for this game?
Well, I'm going to be, a person who's covered this team with Zach, basically, of just watching his emotions go up and down. I'm going to lean on his side because I guarantee he'll do this bet. I'm going to take Chicago +6 in this one because I think it's going to come down to the very end, and +6 is too big of a number for me for this matchup, especially between these two teams and their history between each other, especially early in the season matchup too. So Chicago +6.
They do have a knack for keeping a lot of these games close, minus the late part of that. Even that Bills game last week was really close till the very end when it wasn't quite so close. So Kelcey, Bears and Lions. Bears kind of playing for that first round pick. A lot of players injured. The Lions playing for the playoffs. Two sentences I did not think I'd be saying this year. Yet here we are. What are your thoughts on this
one? Let it be known that I had the Lions somewhat competing for a playoff spot in my preseason predictions. Let it be known. Everybody counted me out after the first 6 weeks of the season, rightfully so. But look, the Lions, they're trying to play for that playoff spot. They have a secret weapon coming off the bench. Normally in a Bears game, I'm usually like, Justin Fields is going to get a rushing touchdown. Normally that's my go-to bet for this situation. But I'm looking at that Lions team, and I'm looking at the way that they're set up and the way that they're preparing to try to get the playoffs and trying to work a guy back. I'm looking at Jameson Williams, guy who doesn't get a ton of work, but when he does, it's usually a big shot over the top. Going plus 700 odds for an anytime touchdown for Jameson Williams. It's huge odds, but if you look at the Bears defense, you look at that secondary, pretty good odds that that man could get out and get running and get free at least one time for Jared Goff over the top. I see that being a potential make or break play really in this game.
Who on there is getting after the passer too? The Bears have basically no pass rush, and that is a long time to cover a guy who runs like a 4.23 or something ridiculous like that as well too. Good luck covering for that long of a time, 35 to 40 yards.
Post knee surgeries
As well too. So pre-knee surgeries will clock him into a 3 flat or something ridiculous like that as well too. So definitely a high scoring affair to expect in that one. Next, we're going to go to the former Battle of the Bay, which is now just kind of a battle of yay and nay, as we got the Raiders taking on the 49ers. As we mentioned earlier, no Derek Carr in this game at quarterback. Kelcey's 18th favorite quarterback in the league, Jarrett Stidham, is making his first career start in this game as well too, under Josh McDaniels, who they knew from their New England days. For this one, I'm going to get the over-under set at 42.5. I am going to hit the under, mostly because I don't believe the Raiders are going to hold up their end of the bargain. This has like a 28-7 written all over it, which is only going to add up to 35. I think the 49ers are going to, for lack of better terms, ramrod them quick and early and then just bleed the clock, while the Raiders are going to basically be like the meme of the parent holding their kid up smiling while the kid in the background is drowning. They're going to be the kid in the background drowning at this point as well, too, just struggling to tread water. Unless Jarrett Stidham has a secret sauce that I'm not aware of, I think this one has a 49ers. They continue to roll for, I think, would be their 8th straight win. And Mr. Irrelevant continues to be very, very relevant, Brock Purdy. So, Kelcey, I imagine you got some fun ideas for this game as well, too. So I'm curious, what kind of bets are you looking for in this one?
I tried to come up with something creative for this game. I really did. I was like, let's maybe try something with Brock Purdy, maybe George Kittle, maybe. I was really focusing on the Niners for the most part. Tried to look over at the Raiders team, and I just don't trust any of them. Maybe Josh Jacobs to get over 100 yards finally. I don't know. I don't know really where to go. I do know this. Josh McDaniels is trying to find any excuse in the world to blame this on Derek Carr. Sorry, didn't want to do the David Carr commentary again. On Carr and make this his fault at the end of the day. And so he's going to try to light it up with Jarrett Stidham. We all kind of know that secret and how that's going to work out. It's just going to be quick dink and dunks all the way down the field. That's what he did at Auburn successfully. That's what he did at Baylor successfully. And occasionally he'd take a shot over the top. I mean, that's kind of what you're set up for. Well, the problem is, has anybody seen that 49ers defense lately? It's terrifying. So all that's to say that I don't trust either offense except for one person, and I would never thought I had said this at the beginning of the season, considering I gave him so much crap. That's Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go in Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown in this one. You know, he's been bailing out Brock Purdy a lot this season. It's in this run. Really, I don't think I should be bailing out. I should say maybe just safety netting him is the better way to put it. Like, he's just been that security blanket for him. So see that continuing, and don't be surprised to see him on the board. And I'll even throw an extra bonus one out there, George Kittle, to get over 80 yards receiving.
So I say since Purdy came into the mix, George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey have got a lot of burn as well, too. They've had a nice little late resurgence, and Kittle fantasy owners have definitely enjoyed that. So, Jim, we'll go to you this one. What are we looking at for the 49ers and the Raiders?
Well, from a Mr. Irrelevant quarterback to make himself relevant in the National Football League, you need your main weapon to shine. He shined last week. He shined 2 weeks ago. So, anytime touchdown plus 170 for George Kittle.
All right, so we got doubling down on Kittle over the middle. So, it looks like this should be it. Looks like we're kind of all in agreement. 49ers should run away with this one with plenty of touchdowns to go around, especially from those key playmakers as well. Definitely looking forward to see if Josh McDaniels and Jarrett Stidham have some secret sauce in this one, or if it's going to be as bad as we think it is. But looks like neither one of us is feeling too comfortable with them, though.
Let's not forget, Jarrett Stidham was drafted by the Patriots because of Josh McDaniels. So at the end of the day, maybe there's a little bit of something in that secret sauce there between them. I don't know. I really don't know what this whole plan is, but I just feel like this is like Josh McDaniels like, no, it wasn't my fault. I promise.
You know what it is.
It can't be my fault.
Promise that I'm not 6-36 since my 6-0 start because of me. It's everybody else, or whatever his record is since that 6-0.
You know it's going to happen. The reunion's going to happen in Vegas next year with Brady.
No,
he's a free agent.
No.
I'm saying
it. Brady does not end up in Vegas for anything. I'm saying
Josh McDaniels, if he wants to save his coaching career, he's going trying to get Brady there.
Oh, he can try. He's just not Vegas and Brady are not. No.
Oh, okay.
You talk about a man who's trying to fight to get his kids back. He is not going to Vegas of all places.
He's got a 26-year-old lady right now. Vegas might be the great place for him right now. But we can try and dissect Tom Brady all day, and frankly, we'll probably lose our minds trying to dissect that as well too. But so what we're gonna do next, we're gonna go into DJ's best bets. We're gonna put together a small parlay of what we think might be some pretty good bets and see if we can win some money. Once again, presented by Outlier as well too. And for this one, we actually got a 4-piece here as we start to round out towards the end of the year. Ohio legalizing sports betting right now as well too. So we're gonna try a 4-piece here. First one. The over-under for Carson Wentz passing yards set at 212 yards, getting his starting job back with Washington Commanders, going against the Cleveland Browns. And weirdly enough, the Browns defense going from top 5 last year have been average to below average throughout this year as well. When Carson Wentz is in the lineup through 5 weeks of the season when he was starting, they were struggling, but he was leading the league in passing touchdowns, and he was top 6 in passing yards. He has a knack for getting the ball down the field. And the Browns, we saw what Joe Flacco did to them down the field. There is a lot of miscommunication issues, and it's Myles Garrett get a sack or we're in trouble. So I can see Carson Wentz getting over the over on the 212 passing yards. Next one, we got the battle for SoFi. The Rams take on the Chargers with a 6.5-point spread. Chargers clinched a playoff win, but a dominating Monday Night Football victory over the Indianapolis JV team. And I think they're going to be a little bit more laid back in this game as well, too, with that playoff spot clinched. The Rams, they have shown a weirdly new revitalized commitment to running the ball, especially behind Cam Akers, who has saved people's fantasy seasons after absolutely torturing them for the first 15 weeks of the season. If they still have him, he came in clutch here at the end. So I'm going to say the Rams cover that 6.5-point spread against the Chargers. And now for a double dip of anytime touchdowns, J.K. Dobbins, running back for the Ravens, going against the Steelers. I imagine this will be an ugly game. I think it'll be a lot of running the ball, especially if Lamar is not playing. I could see him, Gus Edwards, Huntley all getting a lot of carries and look for J.K. Dobbins to crack the end zone line where touchdowns will be at a premium. And then in the game of the week, arguably, as the Bengals take on the Bills, where touchdowns will not be at a premium. They'll be like a Walmart self-checkout. Anything you could fit in the bag goes. So I look for Dawson Knox to capitalize on that as well, too, and find his way into the end zone for a touchdown in what I expect to be a very high-scoring game as well, too. So that's what we have now for our DJ's best bets for this week, too, with more than 1,000 odds as well, too. So you can bet $1 and win yourself 10 plus, or you can go use some of that money that you have as well, too, and win big time as well, especially if you get some of that free money for signing up as well. So that's what we're looking at for best bets this week as well, too. We're now going to send it over to Jim. We're going to talk a little bit of fantasy football as we head into championship weeks, or maybe you're in some of the consolation brackets and you just don't want to have to do whatever the last place has to do in your bracket as well, too. So, Jim, go ahead and take it away.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fantasy Football Picks. I know a lot of you guys are either what DJ just said in championship week or your season's over, like most of our seasons. For me, this is the first time ever in fantasy football that I did not win a championship in one of my 3 leagues. First time ever. I didn't even get in, 2 out of 3 didn't even make the playoffs, and one of them I got my butt handed to me 2 weeks ago. But anyways, we're going to do something different for this week. We're going to do boom picks of the week on each of the main categories that we do this year. I'm going to have the 2 guys debate if we should have him as the boom pick of the week or why not, or they suggest a player. So my quarterback boom pick of the week is a big battle up in Buffalo. So does Josh Allen solidify himself as the quarterback of the AFC, or does Joe Burrow have a chance to put himself as the quarterback of the week? Kelcey.
Yeah, that's actually a tough one. I'll be honest. Between the two of them, that's because it's in Buffalo. It's going to be a very interesting game. But Josh Allen has shown he does not care about weather, and Burrow doesn't care about his small hands or weather. So I think both quarterbacks are going to have a good time. I think both could be your potential boom of the week if you really look at it closely. I'd say out of the two, I'm going to pick Joe Burrow for the boom of the week because I think the Bengals need this win a little bit more than the Bills do right now. Don't get me wrong, the Bills probably need to shore up some things, so maybe they want to get a win for that. But I do think the Bengals really need this just to keep their momentum going. They're only a half game ahead of the Ravens, or a full game ahead of the Ravens right now. So, they can't stumble by any means for that positioning. So I think give me Joe Burrow as that boom of the week for this one, because I think that's it could be a very interesting matchup, and he might have the best chance with the injuries.
DJ.
I think you can make a case that Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the NFL right now with the way he's been playing as well, too. He's been lights out. But since we're talking fantasy football, I'm going to lean toward Josh Allen for no other reason that he doubles down as a quarterback and a Brandon Jacobs at any given moment as well, too, and can rumble in from 20 yards out on a touchdown. So for fantasy points, I'll lean towards Josh Allen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen gives you 28 fantasy points and Joe Burrow gives you 33, because we see what Joe Burrow can do when he gets going through the air. He suddenly turns into a nuclear weapon with his arm, and him and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins can explode at any given moment. So I'm going to take Josh Allen just because I think the factor with his legs makes me a little bit more comfortable steal a rushing touchdown, something like that.
And also, it's a big week for Cincinnati because if they win with a Baltimore loss, they just not get the number 2 seed in the AFC. They also win the AFC North, so they can wrap that up too and guarantee them a home playoff game in the first round, at least at the moment. So for the running back boom pick of the week, I'm just doing one guy here, and I want to see how you guys act. Is he the guy you need to have a big game for this team to win, or does someone else in your mind in the league have a chance to be that boom pick of the week to save their team? I'm going with Travis Etienne against the Houston Texans. Does he need to have that explosive game for Jacksonville to keep their momentum into Tennessee next week and possibly the wild card game if they win out? Or do you think someone else should be in that position, especially like an Alvin Kamara or a CMC of San Francisco? What do you guys think, DJ?
Weirdly enough, Houston with Lovie Smith at the helm play weirdly good defense at random times. Like against the Cowboys, they played randomly good defense. Against the Chiefs, randomly good defense. So I don't see Travis Etienne having an explosive week. I think if the Jaguars do beat the Texans, it'll be kind of what it's been, is a very efficient Trevor Lawrence with some Travis Etienne sprinkled in there as well too. Not that he'll have a bad game. I just don't see him going off for like a 30 piece this week necessarily as well too. I'm going to stick with the theme I had earlier. I think for a boom pick, I'm going to go back with Cam Akers as well, too, because the Chargers still a little spotty stopping the run. The Rams will for some reason, now with Baker in there, they will run the ball like they have Nick Chubb back there and give him the ball 25 times in a row and to run it straight down the neck. So I'm going to take Cam Akers in a game where the Chargers will probably – this is the type of game the Chargers have lost the last few years where they, for lack of better terms, don't give a ish. And Joey Bosa's coming off the injury thing. Maybe they're a little bit more too pass happy with him and Khalil Mack getting after the passer, running lane. So I'm going to go with Cam Akers as the running back boom this week to double down off of what he did last week and to piss off everybody who drafted him in the first round, then cut him after 4 weeks.
Yeah, I don't hate Travis Etienne needing to have a big game. I do think he would, because if you go against that Texans team, who, by the way, has not lost by more than 2 scores except for one time, and by the way, to the Raiders of all teams. Yeah, the Raiders is the one team that they've lost by more than 2 scores. They did also beat the Jaguars earlier this season in a awful game, like one of the worst games we've ever seen.
Alone one on the year.
Yeah, I mean, one or two, but yeah, it's tough one. It's tough because like I don't know if it's Travis Etienne that needs to have that big game for him or if it's just their offense in general. Because whatever happened in that first game in Jacksonville cannot happen again. And a lot of that was down to Trevor Lawrence also not making his reads, receivers dropping open passes, Travis Etienne obviously not getting going on the ground either. There was a fumble there as well, and there's. I won't say yes to Travis Etienne needing to have the big game, but I do think potential for a boom is there for Travis Etienne because if this team gets going, that is the biggest weakness for the Texans is going up in the middle. And I think Travis Etienne does. We all know he has the skills. He's had the skills for many years coming out of Clemson. So if you give him the opportunity, give him enough touches, I think give him 20 touches. I can see him being a boom of the week for sure. If there's a backup boom of the week, if I can say that, like I maybe Jamal Williams for Detroit, but that's just because he's going to give you touchdowns. That's what makes me worried about Travis Etienne. He's not going to give you that much of that touchdown boom as well. Whereas he might be able to get you those bursts for 20, 30 yards at a time, but that's only 2 or 3 points and not a 7-point hit every time. Like whereas Jamal Williams, he's going to maybe touch the ball 6 times. 3 of those times are going to be inside the 10 and, with a chance for a touchdown. So like, it's tough. You know what? Yes, I'll say he has the greatest opportunities for boom of the week there, but it's slim margins maybe to Jamal Williams or, as DJ pointed out, Cam Akers there. But I think if the Jaguars are going to secure their playoff future, Travis Etienne does have a good game.
Well, you did a perfect segue. We're talking about Jamal Williams because on my wide receivers, I have 2 guys from the same team, Ahmad St. Brown and DJ Chark. Which one of these 2 players should, if Detroit does somehow, they have a slim chance going off beating Chicago this week and possibly getting that 7th seed, which one of those 2 players is with this week against Chicago needs to be that boom? DJ Chark or Ahmad St. Brown? Kelcey.
Yes. Simply put, yes. One of the 2 needs to go off. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown is absolutely built to be that number 1 receiver anywhere. And I think securing that confirmation going into the last week is kind of where we're at with him. Like I think he's had a great season this year after piggybacking off a great half a season last year. I think if you can solidify a big win against a division opponent that continues your hopes for the playoffs, and he has 100, maybe 80 yards and a touchdown, get you to like eight targets. So if you're in a PPR league, that's looking at about 20 points right there, 22 points maybe. That's something that you'd love to have. There's no doubt about it. DJ Chark has been way, way too up and down for me to be like, yeah, he needs to be the guy for a boom. Because truthfully, he's going to be the he's second, third option right now for him.
He's had a resurgence recently.
Last couple weeks he's been targeted, but I'm going to stick with Amon-Ra St. Brown right now, just because of who they're going, because of the Bears defense, because there's so many holes in that defense is being nice. I think that's why I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, if he was playing a team that had a solid number 1 corner that's healthy, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, then give me DJ Chark to have the boom. But no, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but we'll definitely have the boom of those 2.
DJ.
I'm going to stick with Amon-Ra St. Brown as well, too. Amon-Ra St. Brown's he's a voluminous type of guy, kind of like what Jalen Waddle was last year as well. So he's going to get probably 8 to 10 targets. It's almost guaranteed. A lot of them are going to be on third down, moving the chains. PPR leagues, he's a darling, almost like a Wes Welker used to be back in the day as well, too. where DJ Shark is big play touchdown dependent. It feels like he can get you like 16 points, but it's all going to be on one play. It feels like, whereas Amon-Ra St. Brown will get you 16 points throughout the game. So give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I trust him to get those plays. Whereas we mentioned Jameson Williams starting to work his way back in, he might steal some of those deep shots from DJ Shark as well. And the Bears defense is just going to let everybody kind of walk through them, which I think that's going to lend to the death by 1,000 paper cuts of Amon-Ra St. Brown. So give me St. Brown in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if DJ Shark still finds his way in the end zone somehow as well. It's not like the Bears it can say you won't score, and the Lions will be like, okay, you're right, we won't let them score. They'll just walk right by.
Good point. Going to the defense part of the boom pick of the week or fantasy pick of the week. This is just one team. We mentioned them earlier in the show. Philadelphia's defense against New Orleans. Dude, if they have a boom pick of the week, are the Philadelphia Eagles happy with that? Means their offense doesn't have to do anything. Is this, in your opinion, DJ, the boom pick defense to pick if you have them available to get in your championship week? Or should you go with, the Giants against the Colts or possibly the Panthers against the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers can't move the football on anybody this day now. And it's kind of sad, but still, they are not a good football team right now down there in Tampa. Who you got?
Well, as I will stick by my mantra of anybody who's playing the Colts, that is the right defense to take. And it has been held true for almost every single week of this year. But that being said, I think if you have the Eagles defense, you continue to ride with them. You don't try and replace them in this week. If it's been your defense all year, you stick with it. That being said, I don't think they're going to be like the highest scoring defense. I don't think they're going to punk the Saints and run them up and down as well, too. I think the game will be weirdly close as well. The Saints have been relatively cooking these last few weeks, and their defenses themselves have not given up 20 points in over a month. So I think it'll be ugly back and forth, which won't lead to I don't think it'll lend to a lot of fantasy point opportunities, like a lot of chances for picks and takeaways, those sort of things that bolster your fantasy points. If I have a chance at the 49ers defense going against Jared Stidham, I'm going to hammer that one because that one has a lot of potential sack, fumbles, takeaways options in that one as well, too. Obviously, anyone going against the Colts, I like that defense. It doesn't matter who it is. As long as they're suiting up against that JV squad, I like their chances. And then, of course, anyone going against the Bucs or going against the NFC South team is pretty nice as well, too. But I'll stick with the Eagles. If you have them, you keep them. But I don't know if they're going to be the boom number one defense of this week, just because I don't think they'll have the opportunities to get those big pick sixes, safeties, those things like that stockpile your points.
Good point. Kelcey.
I like the idea of the Eagles being that boom pick, except for the fact that there's injuries in that secondary that prevent them from, as DJ mentioned, that those pick sixes, those opportunities to really ball hawk, if you will. A defense I'm actually looking at, if you're streamlining defenses here for your championship week, or maybe you somehow go to next week or something like that, your roulette week or your roulette team or league or whatever. And so it's all based off of points. I'm looking at maybe the Chiefs going against those Broncos in division rivalry. The Broncos are the Broncos. Like absolute opportunity there. Or I'd even go the Chargers, looking against the Rams there, and as two opportunities to kind of get a chance to boom with your picks there. The Chiefs defense has been absolutely fantastic. It taking the ball away. I mean, goodness, you've had 3 pick sixes in 5 weeks for the Chiefs. So it's not been a bad situation if you're a Chiefs fan at all. And really, they're one of they're mid-tier defense fantasy wise. So you look at that, you have the opportunity that they might just be just sitting there because you have all the other games played, or maybe somebody has a better defense that they've been riding. Maybe they are riding with the Eagles defense, But yeah, I'm kind of with DJ on this though. If you have the Eagles, you're not gonna just like throw them aside. I'd say the only other opportunity you throw them aside is if it's 1 the Chiefs, 2 Chargers, and maybe a 3 the Giants, I guess. But I would really say Eagles, I personally believe Eagles, unless you can get the Chiefs defense, would be the best option there. So I'm not going to say no to the Eagles having a boom of the week, but at the same time, in my opinion, there's one better option, which is the Chiefs right now, as far as something that would be available. Because obviously there are other teams out there I could say, but I don't think the 49ers defense is going to be available.
I will say I do like you picking the Chargers as a boom opportunity, because while I mentioned Cam Akers could potentially gash them, let's hypothetically say they stop Cam Akers. That means you have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack boat racing to Baker Mayfield behind that miserable offensive line. And we know what happens when Baker Mayfield has to move or tries to be athletic as well, too. That's where when it's not off play action and easy checkdowns, he gets erratic and throws 4 picks on Christmas. And we saw what happened against the Packers a few weeks ago. So I think that one, either Cam Akers wins you a fantasy league or the Chargers defense can win you a fantasy league either way as well, too. I think that'll be the battle. That'll be interesting because One of them scoring 20 points. I just don't know which one it is at this point because either Baker's going to throw 3 picks or Cam Akers going to score 3 tuds.
Yeah, or I mean, there's also that opportunity that Justin Herbert just gets out to a hot start, and now you're the Chargers with an early lead, and now you're boat racing at Baker Mayfield because Cam Akers can be non-effective because you're up by 14 plus. So they're trying just to come back through the air. So
the ultimate question here, guys, is who's going to have more fans in that building?
Yes,
the referees.
Perfect.
Actually, no. There you go. That's the perfect answer. DJ. The Lakers.
The Lakers.
The Lakers girls that show up for New Year's celebrations on the field. There you go.
The leftovers from the Rose Bowl game.
So usually on the final thing we do the flex pick of the week, but because we have our without a certain member this week, and he usually does a kicking bet each week, so we're going to do something unique. 4 kickers on 4 teams are in playoff contention. This is going to be just for this week's, or even the playoffs. What kicker will you guys select to be, you need this kick to win a playoff game, win a championship, or, screw another team out of the playoffs? Here are the 4 kickers: Graham Gano, Tyler Bass, Justin Tucker, or Greg Joseph.
You want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, DJ.
I feel like the answer is Justin Tucker whenever it involves a leg. I don't care what the question is. If it involves a leg, the answer will be Justin Tucker. Is that one? If I get to screw somebody else with making one, or if he's on my kicking team, what fantasy, real life, making raps about beating the Broncos on the airplane, whatever it takes, give me Justin Tucker.
Well, the Detroit Lions will agree with you on that one, DJ.
Yeah. If you had left Justin Tucker out of this lineup, this has been a lot harder. Maybe I would go Tyler Bass. Maybe. But really, I don't know if he's going to be putting that opportunity. Graham Gano would be putting that opportunity, but Justin Tucker for sure is going to be putting that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And Justin Tucker, most accurate kicker in NFL history, longest leg in the NFL history. Like at this point in time, he could just rattle off any kicking. If there's a first ballot kicking Hall of Fame opportunity,
I was going to say that too.
It's a Justin Tucker. So unfortunately, Justin Tucker here. And the only reason I say that, I love Adam Vinatieri, but you look at the end of the day, doesn't hold the records over Justin Tucker anymore. But not about Adam Vinatieri also could be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Justin Tucker for sure in this situation.
Justin Tucker is that kicker now, where if you're within 60 yards, if you're opposing defense and opposing team, your heart's racing because he can nail that with ease. He almost did that in Jacksonville a couple of weeks at 67.
I was about to say 65. within 70, you're breathing hard if the wind's going the right way. Like within 70, and the wind's going your way, you're like, oh crap, you flatline as the kick kicks off, and then we'll see if you live or die. We don't know.
Well, also, Greg Joseph, he had that clutch kick a couple weeks ago in Minnesota. That was right on the money. But that's also in the dome. So if that was barely made by Joseph, Tucker has another 10 yards on that to make that kick.
And I don't trust the team. Okay, I'm sorry. This is going to go back to my own issues with the way the Vikings are. I don't trust a team that's won 11 straight by 1 score or less, or 11 in the season by 1 score or less. That's just stupid. Eventually you're going to fail. And you're either going to fail by a kicker or you're going to fail by not scoring a touchdown.
The ball's going to bounce the wrong way, and you're going to end up on the short end of the stick. So, yeah, Minnesota's been playing fire. So, with that, let's give it to Kelcey for the pick'ems for Week 17 in the National Football League, because teams are fighting with fire as they try to pursue a postseason berth. Kelcey, take away with the 4th quarter.
All right, quarter 4. It's the primetime pick'ems, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite time of the show. As always, why would it not be my favorite time of the show? And yet again, this week we all got competitive, I guess, and everybody 10-5, 10-5, 10-5, 9-6 was Zach, which maybe is the reason he doesn't want to show his face on the show as he's slipping in the rankings. I'm not sure, but we're slowly catching up to him. Jim, we're both still tied at the bottom this season at 131, 89, and 2. Although we're only 5 games back with Zach at 136, 84, and 2. And DJ, well, you're starting to stretch out your lead there, my guy. You got a 2-game lead, 138, 82, and 2. Still incredible records if you look at it across the board. We're picking well into the positives here, so not bad across the board, guys. DJ, what do you have to say about yourself right now? Just stretching out your lead, making us look like pedestrians.
Well, looking at the pick'ems we have this week with me and Zach, especially, the winner will be determined this week, most likely as well, too, because we do have quite a few that him and I crossed on as well, too. So I think the winner, either I could expand my lead and basically win it this week, or he can close the gap, and then next week we're all sweating it like Justin Tucker's within 80 yards of a field goal attempt to beat us as well, too, and the hearts start pounding. So it's close one down the stretch. I definitely look forward to it. And me and Zach struggle this week. You both could easily pop right back up, and we have a 4-way tie, and we're all like, how the hell did we get here? So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at some of the picks, right, I think there's a great opportunity for somebody to flip from the bottom to the top if you want to, or from the top to the bottom. Jim, do you think you have the picks this week, the juice? Do you have the sauce to get yourself in the top two, to get yourself out of our tie? Do you have the sauce this week?
You gotta be positive, man. You know, it's that playoff push. Yes, I think I have the sauce. Most likely I'll hit on most of them. Recently I have, but if it's Jim from the first 5 weeks, yeah, I'm gonna be 9 games back of third place coming into this week. So yeah, sometimes you gotta go do or die. This is the fourth quarter. You got to get that final drive. Am I going to score that game-winning touchdown, or am I going to throw a pick six? Don't know. You got to pull the trigger somehow.
Back now.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, he did not pick the Jets this week, so I was going to make that joke if he had picked the Jets. DJ is the only one that picked the Jets this week, so he is the only one with the sauce on his side. We're all going with the Geno revenge game. That's not one of our focus games. I just wanted to just throw that one out there. That is a fun game, but we're going to go straight to the focus games here, and we're going to start with the battle for SoFi, the battle for LA. We have the Chargers and the Rams, and you see where we're all going there. It's a clean sweep for the Chargers. We kind of just talked about it. You're relying on Baker if you're in a situation where Cam Akers is either not effective or Justin Herbert is too effective. And is that going to be enough? Like, can the Rams really rely on Baker to be that guy for him right now? Or do you think he still needs a little bit more time to work with McVay?
Yes and yes and yes, I guess. Like, there's a lot of questions with him still, and I don't want him to try and be the guy when the number one receiver is a guy named Skowronek or Van Jefferson. Maybe if Cooper Kupp was there, and the Chargers tend to let people down in these type of games, maybe. But as I mentioned, we talked about this game a lot today as well. I feel like their chance of winning is Cam Akers just puts the team on his back and the Chargers lay an egg, like they tend to do sometimes. If Justin Herbert comes out firing, Baker's not going to win a shootout with him, especially without Cooper Kupp and with that offensive line. I can't see it. I could be wrong, but I'll put my money on if Justin Herbert's slinging it, give me Justin Herbert, especially without Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey not playing like Jalen Ramsey too. So like all signs point to the less popular SoFi team.
Okay. All right. Jim, I got a question for you here with the Chargers. Sitting at 9-6 right now, one game behind the Ravens at 10-5. And potentially one game ahead of the Dolphins at 8-7 for that wild card right now. Will they be the 7 seed, or will they get themselves to a 5 seed, or do they just stay right here at the 6 seed? Where do you think they fall into this wild card race?
That's the benefit where they're at right now. They're the 6 seed right now. So if they want to play out the next 2 games and try to get to that 5 seed, they need to show why they're a playoff team against the Rams. If they're happy, they won't show up. But I have a feeling that they're looking at matchups already. So you're telling me the 5 seed that you have a chance to play Tennessee, and you have a chance to get your rematch against Jacksonville, who went into SoFi earlier this year and beat down the Chargers. Or you want to sit back and have to go to either Kansas City or Buffalo, possibly Cincinnati. So for LA, they have the Chargers for the matter. They have a great chance of solidifying that they want to go after that 5 seed, because out of the 3 teams, possibly let's say the Jacksonville Jaguars do win this AFC South, out of the 3 teams, you'd rather go to Jacksonville than go to 2 hostile fan bases in Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati if the seeding falls around. So if I'm San Diego, if you are Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, you win this game, solidify that you are the supreme team in LA this year. Maybe not ever, because apparently in LA, they don't care about both their teams right now. That's always been Laker country. It's always NBA in LA. But for the Chargers to get an easier path, I think they want to go after the 5 seed. They rather play Jacksonville. If they play Tennessee, they're going to just destroy Tennessee because they don't have an offense to compete with the Chargers. But for them, they are in the luxury, unlike Baltimore right now, where do they settle to play to 7, or do they want to, get a 5? Because honestly, do you want to go to Kansas City in the first round? Do you want to go to Buffalo in the first round as the 7 versus 2? No. You get that 5, you're one this you have a chance of very slim chance of hosting the AFC Championship game in your building if one of the wild card teams makes a run and you make a run because you're the highest of the wild card teams left. So there's a lot to fight for. But for the Chargers, I think they want to get that 5 seed. They'd rather go to Tennessee or Jacksonville in the first round than go to Buffalo, Cincinnati, or Kansas City.
Okay. All right. I like it. Well, that's going to be a nice little segue into our next game here with the Ravens taking on the Steelers. And we're actually split 50-50 here. Ravens, DJ, and Zach are taking that. Jim and I are taking the Steelers here. So, DJ, I kind of going to want to piggyback off the question I asked Jim here. Do the Ravens have what it takes to stay in the 5 seed here, or do you see them sinking down below? Or can they even get themselves back into the AFC North title game?
I'll say they're half a game out of that as well, too. So, I mean, they win this game, and let's say Cincinnati loses to Buffalo, which is very possible because it's Buffalo. It's basically going to come down to next week, winner take all. So the Ravens have a lot to play for. Pittsburgh is a farther outside chance that 7th seed than even they had last year when everything broke their way. And they're just not really that good, honestly. I mean, it took Derek Carr's implosion last week for them to get in this point. So I trust the Ravens to find a way to claw out this victory similar to what they did a few weeks ago and keep that 5 seed / 3 seed competition with the Bengals going right up until next week.
Okay. And then, Jim, I got to ask, without Lamar Jackson, obviously you're picking the Steelers here. How big is how much do you how impactful is this Kenny Pickett going to be against this Ravens defense? Is he going to outduel Tyler Huntley?
I think he is, but this is going to be a type of game that's going to be very defensive. And I look at the history of these two teams when playoff pushes are happening towards the end of the year. Both these teams find a way to screw the other team over. They find a way. So that's why I said earlier the AFC North Division champion Cincinnati Bengals are going to be claimed this weekend because I think the Steelers go into Baltimore, win the game by a game-winning field goal to make Baltimore as the official wildcard team. And then next week, Baltimore and Chargers. I don't know who has a tiebreaker between those two if they have the same record. I don't know who has a better either head-to-head or conference, but the Steelers have a knack of ticking teams off at the wrong time. And I'm not saying the Steelers are going to make that backdoor in the playoffs as the 17th. Possibly they can, but I don't see that's going to happen. I think either New England's going to back themselves in or Miami's going to hold on for that 7th seed. But then it's crazy. This is what's so great about the NFL right now. You have so many different scenarios, and it's so pivotal by one game. Even if your favorite teams are not even playing in that game, that could determine the whole playoff bracket. But I see the Steelers going into Baltimore, stunning the Ravens, and then hopefully Lamar Jackson's healthy for that first round game because they're either going to Jacksonville or Tennessee or going on the road to Buffalo or Kansas City because if Cincinnati wins this game, Buffalo's the 3 seed and Cincinnati's the 2 and Kansas City's the 1 heading into week 18. So exciting, man. There's going to be some good football this weekend with playoff scenarios.
Yeah, there you go. And there's our segue into the final game here, Monday night, Buffalo versus Bengals. And it's going to be in Cincinnati for this one. So, yeah, you see it right here. We're 3 of us going with the Bills. Jim's going with the Bengals, having them clinch that AFC North, and we have the Bills winning there. Real quick, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, DJ, which one of you is going to have a bad game? No explanation, just off the top of your head.
Josh Allen.
All right, Joe Mixon or one of the running backs for Buffalo, Jim, which one's going to have a better game?
Mixon.
All right, there you go. And that's going to take us, ladies and gentlemen, into my favorite pick of the week, the Island pick. This is Kelcey's Island. And, well, after last week, you guys letting me have the Broncos absolutely getting demolished and that fascinating win, I don't know how that happened. You gave me another kind of gimme, in my opinion. The Dolphins taking on these Patriots. Now, this one's going to be a little bit tougher because, well, it is going to be in New England for this one. But I do still have the Dolphins winning. Jim, I'm not going to ask you because you're a Patriots homer, so I don't want to know. But DJ, is Matt Patricia going to do enough to get Mac Jones going in this one to lead the Patriots to a victory?
I think Mac Jones is going to ignore him just enough to get the offense going. That'll be able to help him hold on in like a 17-13 game.
All right. Jim, do we see Bailey Zappi at all in this game?
Yes, he will.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
That's actually been chat. That's been the chat up in Boston this week. How fast is the trigger going to be pulled in Boston?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Bailey Zappi will make an appearance. The Dolphins still win, though. That's how it's going to work. And as always, we appreciate it. Happy New Year's, everybody. We appreciate you guys tuning in. For Zach and the rest of the crew here, we appreciate you guys tuning in for this entire football season. It's been a great 2022, 2023. It's been, well, we'll see how it goes today. for all of our betting needs. It might be a great day. It might be a bad day, but we'll be back next week for week 18 and to wrap up the regular season. So we will see you guys then.